In this video, you will learn a very flexible opening system that will allow you to play as black against any opening used by white, and that will offer you many options to fight for the victory. Black's first move is d6. The king's knight always develops on the f6 square. The queen's knight develops on the d7 square, as the c6 square is reserved for the pawn. Black can play following the king's Indian defense pattern with g6, or he can challenge the opponent's central control by playing the move e5, placing a pawn in the center and fighting for control of the central squares. Then the king's bishop develops on the e7 square, and black normally castles kingside. The queen can move to the c7 square, where it will be very well positioned, as it will increase its control over the e5 square. Black will try to advance on the queenside with b5 to attack the enemy bishop. They can also play the move h6 to take control of the g5 square and perhaps advance with g5 and attack on the kingside. In this game, white started with e4. Black played d6. White played d4 to occupy the center with his pawns. Black played knight f6, developing his king's knight to its natural square and threatening to capture the e4 pawn. White played knight c3, developing the queen's knight and defending the e4 pawn. The Philidor defense has been reached. Now black played e5 with the idea of transposing into the Philidor defense. If white now captures on e5, after d takes e5. Queen takes d8. King takes d8. This leads to an endgame in which black has very good options, as we saw in another video on the channel. After the move e5, white played knight f3, developing his king's knight and increasing the pressure on the e5 pawn. Black responded with knight b to d7 by developing his queen's knight and strengthening the defense of the e5 pawn. Black's plan is to develop the king's bishop to the e7 square and then castle kingside. They can play the move c6 to take control of the d5 and b5 squares. They can move their queen to the c7 square, etc. White played bishop c4, developing their king's bishop toward a good diagonal. White's idea is to play knight g5 to attack the f7 pawn. Black played bishop to e7, developing the king's bishop and preparing to castle. If white now plays knight g5, black can castle, and it would continue as in a previous game on the channel. In this game, white castled. Black castled. Now white played h3, taking control of the g4 square to prevent the black pieces from using it. Black responded with c6, taking control of the d5 and b5 squares to limit the mobility of the opposing knight. At the same time, black threatened to advance with b5 to gain space on the queenside and attack the opposing bishop. White played a4, taking control of the b5 square, to prevent black's idea. Black played a5, halting the advance of the white pawn and fighting for space on the queenside. White played rook e1, activating his king's rook and occupying a central file, reinforcing the defense of the e4 pawn. Black played h6, taking control of the g5 square to prevent the white pieces from using it. White played bishop e3, completing the development of his minor pieces. Black played rook e8, activating his king's rook and occupying a central file. Black's plan is to retreat his bishop to the f8 square, freeing up action for his rook along the e-file and, at the opportune moment, capturing on d4 to put pressure on the e4 pawn. White played bishop a2, withdrawing the bishop to a safer square to prevent it from being attacked by the enemy pieces. Black played bishop f8, freeing up action for his rook along the e-file. Black prepares to capture on d4 and begin putting pressure on the e4 pawn. If white now plays d5, black can respond with knight b6, threatening to capture on d5. If the white bishop takes on b6, black plays queen takes b6. And after d takes c6. B takes c6. Black has very good play. Or, after knight b6, white can play d takes c6. After b takes c6, black has good play. In the game, after bishop f8, white played knight h4, intending to move the knight to the f5 square. But now the knight is undefended. So black played d5, reacting in the center. The idea is that if white now plays e takes d5, black responds by knight taking on d5, and the knight on h4 is threatened. After, for example, knight takes d5, black plays c takes d5, and the white knight is still under attack. After, for example, knight f5, black can play knight b6, strengthening the defense of the d5 pawn and freeing up the action for the bishop on c8, attacking the opponent's knight. After knight g3 to defend the knight. Black plays e4, gaining space in the center and black has the advantage. After the move d5, white's best option is knight f5. Black can play d takes e4, capturing the opponent's central pawn. White can play knight g3, with the idea of capturing on e4 to regain the pawn. After e takes d4. Bishop takes d4. Black can play c5 to expel the enemy bishop from the center. After bishop e3. Black can play knight b6, with the idea of following up with bishop d7 and putting pressure on the a4 pawn. The game can continue with knight g takes e4. Knight takes e4. Queen takes d8. Rook takes d8. Knight takes e4. White has regained the pawn and is threatening to capture the c5 pawn. Black can play knight a4, capturing a pawn and threatening to capture the b2 pawn. White can play b3 to defend the pawn and expel the opponent's knight. After knight b6. White can play bishop takes c5, recapturing the pawn. After knight d5, the game is more or less balanced. In the game, after the move d5, white played d takes e5. But this move is a mistake. Now, black played knight takes e4, and the knight on h4 is threatened. If white now plays knight takes e4, black responds queen takes h4, and the knight on e4 and the pawn on e5 are attacked. After, for example, knight d6. Black plays rook takes e5. After knight takes c8. Black plays rook takes c8 and has an advantage. In the game, after the move knight takes e4, white played knight takes d5, trying to complicate the fight. The idea is that if black captures the knight on d5, white plays queen takes d5 and counterattacks, as it threatens queen takes f7, which would lead to mate. White has an advantage. In the game, black played knight takes e5. White played knight b6, threatening to capture the rook on a8. Black played queen takes h4. White played knight takes a8, capturing the enemy rook. White has won the exchange, but now black played bishop takes h3, sacrificing the bishop to organize a decisive attack against the opponent's castling. Now it is not possible to capture the bishop with g takes h3, as black plays queen takes h3 and threatens knight f3, and white is completely defenseless. After the move bishop takes h3, white played queen e2, aiming to bring the queen closer to defend on the king side. Black played bishop g4, attacking the opponent's queen. Now, queen f1 is not possible because black plays knight f3, check. After g takes f3, black plays bishop takes f3 and threatens to checkmate on h1. White has to give up his queen to avoid mate, and black would win. In the game, after the move bishop g4, white played f3 to try to repel the attack. Black played knight g3, invading with his knight through the holes between the enemy pawns and threatening to capture the opponent's queen. Now, queen f2 would not be possible because queen h1 would lead to checkmate. In the game, after the move knight g3, white played queen d1. Black played bishop takes f3, and white resigned. Since in case of g takes f3, black plays queen h1, check. And after king f2, queen h2 is checkmate. A very instructive game, in which you were able to learn a very flexible development system that offers many winning options for black.